Hi, also welcome to the today's tutorial. So today we will cover, like previously we have added everything but it was all static. It was not connected to the real code. So we will implement that. And today we will move to the real map in which we will be working, because right now it was just a template, so which was this. So we will shift maybe to the Iceland or the grassland. I think this will be good for us. So in the map, choose the labyrinths and we will set up the things here. Press G, it will take everything away. I think that we will needs to, you know, maybe like we needs to tweak some settings. I'm just checking out if it will be good for us, and we can make player to sit here or like to stand here, and we can move this like close to that thing, maybe like this. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me copy this, or we can use the same map. So I will choose to copy it. So save current level as, and inside the map default, mm, maybe level 1, I would say. Save, and I will update the project setting to like to load this as default. So press G, file, edit project setting, map and modes, game default map, editor startup map to the 11 ruins, no, level 1, again level 1. This should this should be good. Next thing, I think we need to have one game mode. It should already have one if I'm not wrong. Let me go to the C++. They say go. Yep, we have one. So we can just put that. So we don't have our pawn yet. So what I will do, inside the core folder only, I will create one pawn, which is this. I'll call m pawn base, create class, and we will have our custom HUD and custom player controller too. Let me do that. So we are done. Let me remove the folder's name, or else it will throw error. So this is the pawn which we will be using, and uh, I also want to add HUD, because like all the UI components which we will be adding, we will like add reference from the HUD. Like we will take its accessibility from the HUD only. Okay, so once it is done, give me a second. Okay, so for the HUD, what I will do, again right click, choose HUD class, we will call it mHUD. uh, it should be reflected here once it will load. Okay, yep, let me remove the folder name and it should be good. So we have HUD class and the pawn class. Okay, so our HUD is ready, so let's get back. Let me compile. So we have already removed the folder's name, so it should be good to go. So in the content side, go to the go. If the folder is not there, just make one. uh, just I am making the blueprint version for the game mode which we have created and for the pawn. So let me do that. um, Sorry, this Hitman bp underscore m, this Hitman game mode, save. I will do the same thing for the pawn, as this will be our main hero. So what I will do, I will just so there are two possibilities. The thing is, we have to make the AIs, which I do think they will have. I'm just thinking, will they have the same functionality or not? If yes, then it might be a possibility that we will use the hierarchical structure. But for now, let's go with the default one which we have created. So the pawn base bp underscore pawn base, and for her too we can do that, but today we will not use it. But still, just for the future reference, let's do that. bp underscore hard. Okay, we are good to go. Next thing which we will be using, just go to the game mode and assign the actually we can directly change that here, and game pawn, like we will use this. For the herd we will use this, and click save. Save all, control shift s, and it is good. Okay, so we have set up our game mode and the pawn, but the like the pawn is empty. So by default, if you will open it, it is not having anything. So when we will try to play the game, it will just spawn the camera, like, but we will not able to move, like no binding is there. Second, player start is there. Let me shift it to this location. Okay, now let's try. He's looking something. Okay, he's looking there. Let me click that again. Now this is good. Let me try that again. Okay, this is somewhat good, and this is what we want. We can make them close again, but this is good for now. And yep, so by default the camera or nothing is there, so we have to add that. So let's get back to our IDE, go and find pawn. So first we will uh, add camera. Right now I am thinking to add some, bones and all, but right now let's add just camera, and I'm not thinking that we would need the spring arm component, uh, but let's add that too. So again, it will be the public. So I'm just having two public here, one for the functions and one for the variables. So u property, add it anywhere, and I will make blueprint readable, read only. And so first will be the camera component, u spring arm component. As soon as I will press tab, it will include this, so just make sure that you are doing that too. And I will have pointer spring arm component. Next is the camera, so control D, camera component. Do I need anything else right now? No. So let's get to the CPP. So in the constructor we will initialize them. So the spring arm component is equals to the create sub default subject u spring arm component text spring arm. Let's attach it to the root component. Next is, okay, give me a second, set up attachment to the root component. Next thing is the camera. So I will do the same thing with the camera component. So camera component is equals to create default object, u camera component text. So make sure that as soon as I am pressing tab, it is already automatically adding this header file for me. So make sure that you are doing that. uh, okay. Subject u camera component camera, okay, sorry. So u camera component, let me forward declare it. So class u camera component. So let me do the same thing for spring arm component, spring arm component. Let me remove it from here, and we will like include those header file in the cpp. So let me do that. So we have added the spring arm component and the camera component both, so we are good to go. Now I have to attach the camera component to the spring arm component. So camera component dot setup attachment, and here I will put spring arm component. So by default I do want the zero length for the spring arm, so I will do that. So spring arm dot length to be 0. Do I need anything else? I can't think of anything like, but this is good. So let me compile, control B. Let's see if they are reflecting here or not. They are. So everything is there. Let me delete this sin root, compile and save. Okay. Next thing is I do want to check this u pawn control rotation, because I do want to rotate this. Control pawn rotation. Okay, so first thing is let's do some binding. So for it, I think we are in 5.1. So in the project setting in input, if you will see, we are using enhance player input. So we have to manually add that first. So just go to the project name and project name .build.cs, and here we have to add one module, enhance input, because input core is already there, but for enhance we have to do it explicitly. But I do think that it should be the part of default module, as we have upgraded to the 5.1. Okay, so once it is there, make sure that it is there. Go back to the pawn class, and you have to search for a function called setup player input component. So in this function we will write some bindings, but before that binding, if you haven't gone through my enhance input series, I will recommend you to check that out. So we have to write inside the core, it will be the input, and we have to define what type of inputs do we want to add. So input actions, input action dot look, save. I don't think that Hitman will be able to move from here. So we just need the IA look functionality, and it will be the axis 2D, vector 2D. Click save. And if you don't know what we are doing, like what is the input action or what is the input mapping context, I will recommend to check my enhance input playlist. So IA underscore input context. So in short, like this is just the name, like look or like move and all, and this is the real binding happen. This is where the real binds happen. So here I am doing the binding for the IA look, and here we have to enter or in what action do you want to trigger this event. So in the mouse we do want to use the mouse XY2D axis. So it is similar to, let me see if I will be able to draw something out. It is similar to this. So left to right it will be the X, and top to bottom it will be the Y. So it is by default as we have chosen the mouse XY 2D. Okay, so let's move forward. Once we have done that, I will create, now we have to choose that subsystem, like enhance subsystem, like we want this input context to be used inside this spawn, right? So let's write that code. In the begin play, let let's get u gameplay statics, get player controller, get world comma 0. So this is the player controller we are getting. From player control we will get the get local player. So this is the local player which we are controlling here. Subsystem, get subsystem, you enhance input component. So I'm just getting this subsystem, enhance input component. Okay, once we have it, I will check if it is valid or not, like if we are using the enhance input component. If yes, then I will choose the input dot. Okay, I am unable. The thing is, we haven't added the header file for it, so I will add the header file. Enhanced input component dot input. Nope. Context. Give me a second. Actually, I have added the wrong subsystem. So it is u enhanced input local pair subsystem. Hope I am getting the spelling correct. Enhanced input local system. Yes, I do think that I am writing it correct. Subsystem, if it is valid, add mapping context. Still it is not able to recognize it, which is an issue. Just give me a second. Let me check if I'm doing anything wrong here. Dot get subsystem u enhanced. Okay, let's try to add it first. Enhanced input subsystem. Okay, now it is working. So I was thinking, like, as I'm using the rider, so I was thinking that it will automatically give me some prompt, but it's not. So it's really weird. Okay, so the thing is, now it is expecting to add the mapping context which we have created inside here. So this is the mapping context. So we have to, add this. So we have to add one variable. So it is expecting to have u input mapping context. Okay, let me copy this. Go back to header file in the public u property, add it anywhere. I don't require to have the blueprint one. U input mapping context, alt enter. Next is the input mapping context. U input mapping context, next is the one more thing, like before this input mapping context, we have created one input action, so we will do that too. So you property, edit anywhere, you input action, input action, input action underscore look. So let me add this. So I'm recommend, so this is the subsystem, and here I have to give the priority. So by default I will use the 0, and this is the pointer, so this should do the work. Okay, so right now what, so first thing is what I'm getting the local player which we are using, and from that local player we are getting the subsystem, which is the type of view enhanced input local subsystem, and then we are instructing to the subsystem to use this input mapping context. Okay, so I think you have got the idea. And in this setup player input component, what we will do first, I will cast to the u enhanced input component, to the cast u enhanced input component, we are casting the player input component. So once we have casted, as we are using enhanced input component, we will add the bindings using it. So bind action, bind action. So here I will input that IA look action. Next is on what trigger do we want? Trigger triggered. Next is the where is this and the function name. So function name I will be creating like am pawn base. The function name will be on look. Press alt enter. Create function. I want the first one. Make sure that you are doing that, and I don't think we need to have it in the public, so I will create one private cross. Okay, public, public. Let me rearrange it. Okay, I think it's sorted. Next is we just declared it. Let me enter the definition. So on look. So from the input action value, we already know that it is a type of vector 2, f vector 2d. So in f vector 2d look value is equals to the input action value dot get, and it is a type of f vector 2d. Fuck 2d, and so on controller, add controller pitch in yaw. So from left to right it is yaw, which is left to right it is x, right? So look value dot x, if I'm not wrong. For add controller pitch, it is look value y. Okay, I think we are sorted, and we will be able to move our mouse, and all the bindings are done. So let me debug it, and I think it will open the new Unreal Engine window. So let me close it because I have made a few major changes in the header file, so I'm not sure. So I'm just opening it again. Just let me close it. Press debug again. Okay. Now we have this open. By default it won't work because we haven't set the bindings yet. So go back to the pawn In the pawn you should see these variables now, so just assign these values, compile and save. Now try. Okay, it's not moving yet, so go back to the pawn. Here in the spring arm, just check use pawn control rotation. Is it working? Yes, it is working. But for me, like left and right are working fine, but from the top to bottom, it is the opposite. So let's do one thing. First, in the input context, for the y, like they were opposite. So in the modifier, use negate, and we only want that in y-axis. So just choose y and let's try again. Now it is working fine. This is good. This is really good. So next thing is the changes which we have made with the spring arm. We will shift this code in the C++. Use pawn control rotation. Okay. So in the header, like in the constructor, in the spring arm dot pawn rotation, use pawn rotation to be true. Okay. So this should do the work. Okay, let's check. Okay, I do think like I have to restart it, but it will work for sure. That I do know. So it is already 26, but I do think that we have covered a lot. So let me know like if you have some doubt or like you have some query. If you do, just comment it below, and I will try my best to solve those. Thank you and have a nice day.